Logo 2, it's time to do the first lesson in Unit 5. We're going to do 2 lessons in Unit 5, and then we're going to actually pause it and go back and do some of the create work. And it's something you're going to put in on a big Google Doc, and you're going to be putting it on Flipgrid. We're going to show it on Flipgrid. You're going to write it on a Google Doc. Now, what is Logo 2? Well, Logo 2 is a templated item right here, just like Logo 1 was. You're going to click it right here, and when it opens it up, it will open up the Logo 2 template right here. This is what it'll open. When it does, you're going to go Save Project As, and you're going to save it as the logo, just Logo 2. So go to Save Project As and call it just Logo 2. Get rid of this, boom, boom, and save it as Logo 2. I already did that, so I'm actually going to open that up. So I'm going to just give me a second. I'll just pull that up. Now, I've got my emulator rocking right here, and if I hit reset just to reset my item, and it says, I should see a notifier that says, I don't know how to draw yet. Click Draw. It says, I don't know how to draw yet. Pretty much straightforward. Now, what's different about Logo 2? This is incredibly important, so I hope you're paying attention. Put your phone down because I want to make sure you're paying attention. First thing you have to understand is this. When you look at things like Forward, take a look at Forward. Forward's a big honking thing. We looked at this before, and you're like, ooh, before, this was confusing before, it's confusing now. Well, it is. There's a lot going on in here. But I want to point out one big difference that I know you can't find, but I'm going to tell you where to find it. Look here. This right here where it says Get Pixels, the pixels piece used to be set for 10, which means every time that you put in a forward command, it went forward to 10. It was stuck at 10. Now it has this thing called pixels right here. It's actually accepting something called a parameter. So what does that mean in real life? So what happens in real life is when I go and I call the procedure forward, and it's right here, where's forward? Right here, right? I put it in here, and you notice I can try to run it. It will reset, draw. It's an error, actually. Why is it an error? Because it's looking for pixels right here. Remember when I showed you it was looking for pixels? Right here, pixels? It's looking for pixels, so I have to give it a number, or it won't run right. So I'm going to throw it in. I'm going to throw in 60. All right, so now I'm going to throw in pixels, and I'm going to go over here and try to run it again. Reset, draw. Now I get myself a 60. How do I know that works for sure? I'll change this to 100. All right, now it's 100. I should get a longer line. Draw. I got a longer line. So far, so good. You have one other place where that happens, and that is in the program, or the thing called turn. Where is turn in here? Turns to turn right here. You'll see that to turn, degrees is a variable. Degrees is a parameter that then shows up as what's called a local variable. It exists within this context. So you can actually change the number of degrees of the turn. So why would I do that? Well, let's say I was going to draw myself a right angle. I might go ahead and pull in turn. And of course, a right angle is 90 degrees. So I'll duplicate this. And I'll say go 90 degrees. And we can't really see that particularly well, so I'll duplicate these. I'll throw in another one. And I'll make these 60 just so that we don't run off the screen. And when I go in and I go reset, I should get a line, and it should turn 90, and I should go another 60. Draw, and that's exactly what it did. All right. So with those parameters, I have the ability to draw squares of different sizes. So let's take a look at how that functions in real life. I'm going to pull all this out. I'm going to delete all these blocks right here. Throw these away. Let's start this again. And what if I wanted to draw a square? Well, first thing I would do is I would need to draw a side. Let's say I'm going to do a square of, let's say, 50. I'll draw my square of 50. And in we go. I'll just delete this bad boy. All right, and then I would have to draw in a turn. Right, so I'll grab my turn. And then grab a 90. And I would have to do that 4 times. Or, I think we already know, I'm going to grab myself a loop. And we know that a square has how many sides? So the loop is going to have to run 4 times because the square has 4 sides. So I'm going to put this in here. And I'm going to go in here. And now my button draw will actually reset, draw me a square. Now, what if I wanted to do that, but I wanted to change that parameter? So for example, what if I wanted to do this, and then right after it, I wanted to draw another square, but this time it was going to be 75. Now what would happen is I would reset, and now I'm going to draw a square of 50, and I draw a square of 75. Reset, draw. I have a square within a square. That's what I did. But here's the problem. We're kind of creating these different procedures based on what's going on here. So we've got this is a loop of 50, and this is a loop of 75. There's a more efficient way to do that, and you've probably figured it out. The more efficient way to do that, I'll delete all these blocks. I'll delete all these blocks. The more efficient way of doing this is to create a procedure. So I'm going to create a procedure, and let's say I'm going to call my procedure a square of 50. Right? Now, do a square of 50. Actually, I'm going to call this draw square. Sorry. And I'm going to call this procedure draw square. And I want this to be able to draw whatever square I want it to draw whenever I want to draw it. So draw square right now, if I go in there, I'm going to pull in my forward, and I'm going to pull in my turn. All right. And the turn's going to be a 90, right? Because it's a square. The turn's going to be a 90. Not a problem. But what if I want to be able to draw multiple squares? Well, I'm going to actually put in something called a parameter, all right? So I'm going to go over to here, and I'm going to go to here where it says input, this little blue mutator, and I'm going to grab something called an input. And an input, sorry, dropped it there. Input, I'm going to put it right in here. And it puts in this thing called x, which is something called a parameter. It allows me to set the length of something. And I'm going to call this parameter length of side. It helps to name your parameters something meaningful. You can call them whatever you want. I'm going to call them length of side, all right? And now I'm going to tell it to put in the length of side. So now when I say draw a square, and I'll properly name this draw with a lowercase d, right? Now I pull in my procedure called draw square. It's actually looking at length of side. What if I changed it to just length? See, it changes to whatever I tell it to change it to. I'm going to go in length of side, and I camelback it. So I'm going to put it in there, and it's going to ask for a number. And so I'm going to say, give me a 90, right? Where's my 90? That's plenty enough, right? I'll tell it to draw a length of 50, which is the first one we did, right? I go over here, I reset, draw. Oh, that's my fault. Right in here, I have to go in and grab a proper. That was my mistake right there. I have to make sure that the variable is correct. Let me go in and reset it. Draw. All right, it draw length of side. Wait a second. Why did that happen? What was my mistake? Oh, I forgot my loop. So I need to put my loop in there, right? For each one, 4, right? I'm going to go like this, put it in there, and now I have myself a draw square. All right, let's say it in there, reset, draw. There we go. But right now, I'm drawing a square of 50. What if I also want to draw a square of 75? Then I should get 2 squares. Draw, reset, draw. I get 2 squares. What if I wanted to then duplicate it and draw a 90, right? Let's try that, right? Throw that in there. There we go. Now we'll draw a 90. I should actually get 3 squares. Reset, draw, 3 squares. That's how that works. So procedures allow you to decide certain polygons based on the parameters you give them. Now let's take a look at what the challenges are. I'm going to get rid of all 3 of these right now, throw them away. Let's take a look at your assignment. All right? Your assignment is right here. The assignment asks a question that you're going to need to answer after this video. It asks about what's the difference between logo 1 and logo 2 in terms of the things that you get to set. So that's number one. And then the next thing it says is design an algorithm for drawing an equilateral triangle. I'll do that one with you. Because an equilateral triangle, yeah, wait a second, I can adjust the turns and I can adjust the length of the side, so I should be able to do this. I wonder how I'm going to do this. Well, I tell you what, I'll do this first one with you. Let's talk about how to compute a polygon. So let's go to presenting. And in presenting, what's going to happen is when you're drawing a polygon, any multi-sided shape, you've got angles, right? 4 sides, you get 4 angles. 3 sides, you get 3 angles. 6 sides, you get 6 angles, right? The angles must total 360 degrees. They actually do total 360 degrees. That's a property of geometry, okay? So you know that's happening, right? The angles have to total 360 degrees. So let's look at a triangle. It's got how many angles? 3 angles, right? 1, 2, and 3. You got 3 angles in a triangle. So in App Inventor, we're talking about the turns. And the math, 360 divided by 3 is 120, right? So let's do the triangle. Let's take a look at that over in App Inventor. I'm going to draw a triangle. I'm going to create a procedure. Let's make this a little bit easier to read. We'll do it up here, right? And we'll create a procedure that we're going to call draw triangle, all right? And we want to be able to decide how big our triangle is. It's equilateral, but we want to decide how many. So we're going to put in one input. We're going to call our input length of side, right? So do that with me. And again, you need to pause. You can pause your video, come back, and we can do this together, right? We do this length of side. Then we know we need a loop. So we're going to grab the loop. And of course, the loop defaults to 5. But this is a triangle. So we know how many sides that we have. Triangle has 3 sides. So we're going to go in here and we'll change this to 3 sides. We're going to stick that in place, right? And then we know we're going to need forward. So we're going to say forward. And the pixels count for this is going to be forward for the length of however side we want. And then we're going to put in a turn. We already know our turn, okay? What's our turn? What did we say right here? So, I forgot all of that. The turn was 120. Remember that? The turn was 120. Each of these angles turns 120 degrees, turns 120 degrees, turns 120 degrees. Make sure you understand that, right? So I'm going to go in here and I'm going to grab myself a math block. Helps if I can put the right drawer. Throw this in here, and I know this has to say 120 degrees, right? And then I'm going to put it under procedures, and I'm going to say procedures. Is there one in here that says draw triangle? Oh yeah, right here. Draw a triangle. Up, length of side. It's asking for a length of side. Of course it's asking for a length of side. Silly. I'll do 60. It doesn't really matter. You don't want to do 10 because it's going to be so tiny you can't see it. And then the other thing, just to make it pretty, is I'm going to get into the habit of putting in hide turtle at the end. So I'm going to go in here and reset, hit draw. There's my equilateral triangle. All right. So that's one of the things I'm going to do. I click show so I can make my triangle show, or my turtle show so you can see it's still there. Reset, draw, there it is. If I change it to 90, go in here. If I click draw again, it's actually just going to draw a bigger triangle. Because, and I have to show my triangle again, my turtle again. It did the same thing, length of side. It went up 90, turned 120, 90. I could change this length of side to 120. It'll actually draw me a third larger triangle. All right, just keeps making bigger ones. If you think about that, you can actually repeat some really cool things with layers and layers of loops. And so the first part of the challenge is going to be drawing the different shapes. So I did the triangle for you. I will take you through the beginning of the pentagon, and then you're going to do the triangle, the pentagon, and the hexagon, and the circle. Those are tricky. So you're going to go through those 5. And then there's going to be probably another video because once you get to the flower, it's going to be loops inside of loops. And we're going to take a look at the flower. and then you're going to be on your own to draw this spiral. So you're going to do this cool flower thing, and then you're going to be on your own to draw the spiral. So good luck with that, and I'll talk to you soon.